The executor cleared his throat, silencing the packed funeral home. Before we conclude today's service, Mrs. Chapman left specific instructions regarding the distribution of her estate. My brother Ryan shifted uncomfortably 2 rows ahead, his designer suit suddenly seeming to choke him as whispers rippled through the crowd. 8 years had passed since I'd walked away from my family after what Ryan did at my graduation. I hadn't spoken a word to any of them since, not even Mom. Yet here I was, watching my brother's face drain of color as the executor continued. The majority of Mrs. Chapman's estate, including the family home and business interests, has been left to her daughter, Eliza. Ryan's head snapped in my direction, his eyes wild with disbelief. The same eyes that had laughed while he destroyed me in front of everyone I knew. I straightened my spine and met his gaze. The humiliation I'd felt that day had shaped me, hardened me. But what no one knew, what Mom had apparently known all along, was that I wasn't the only one with secrets. Growing up in suburban Massachusetts, our family was the picture of New England respectability. Mom ran a successful real estate business in Boston while raising us after Dad died when I was 8. Ryan was 13 then, old enough to become the man of the house, as everyone kept telling him. Our family dynamic shifted that day. Mom worked longer hours to maintain our upper-middle-class lifestyle, leaving Ryan in charge. He took that responsibility seriously, too seriously. While he maintained perfect grades and became captain of the lacrosse team, I became his project, the little sister who needed constant improvement. "Stand up straight, Eliza. No one respects a sloucher," he'd say at church. "Maybe skip dessert tonight. The Chapmans have a reputation to maintain," he'd whisper at neighborhood barbecues. Mom never noticed or chose not to. Her pride in Ryan was boundless. When he got accepted to Princeton, she threw an extravagant party, inviting half the town. "My son, the future senator," she'd beam, while I stood in corners, invisible. I still remember my 13th birthday. Mom was closing a big commercial deal and couldn't make it home. Ryan was supposed to pick me up from my friend Kayla's house, but he forgot. After waiting 3 hours, I walked the 4 miles home in the rain. When I arrived, soaked and crying, he was playing video games with his friends. "Oh shit, your birthday," he said casually. "Sorry, squirt." The next day, Mom gave me a gift card and promised to make it up to me. She never did. Despite everything, I worked hard. While Ryan had Mom's charisma and business mind, I inherited Dad's artistic talent. My paintings won state competitions. I got a scholarship to RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, a huge achievement that received a fraction of the attention Ryan's Princeton acceptance had. "Art school," Ryan scoffed at dinner. "Hope you enjoy making my coffee someday." Mom laughed, then caught herself. "Ryan, be nice. RISD is respectable." The summer before college was when I discovered the secret. I was cleaning the attic when I found a box of Dad's things, letters, photos, documents. Among them was a life insurance policy I'd never heard about for $2 million with Mom as the beneficiary. The date on the payout confirmation was 2 weeks after his funeral. $2 million. Yet Mom had told everyone we were struggling. She'd taken out loans for Ryan's tuition instead of using that money. She'd worked those long hours, leaving us alone when she hadn't needed to. When I confronted her, she dismissed me. "Adult matters aren't your concern, Eliza. That money is for Ryan's future. Your father would have wanted his son to have every advantage." "What about your daughter?" I asked. "You have your scholarship," she said, as if that settled everything. I never told Ryan about the money. Despite everything, I didn't want to damage his relationship with Mom. But something shifted in me that day. I began to see our family dynamics clearly. The golden son and the afterthought daughter. Mom's grand gesture came 2 days before my high school graduation. She presented me with a thin envelope containing a check for $5,000. A little something to help with art supplies, she said, as if bestowing a great gift. It was 1/4% of Dad's insurance money. Thank you, I said, knowing that Ryan's graduation gift had been a BMW. I didn't know then that my graduation would become the breaking point, the day Ryan would publicly humiliate me so thoroughly that I would walk away from them forever. I couldn't have imagined that 8 years later, standing in that funeral home, I would finally understand why Mom had made the decision she did in her will. But life has a way of revealing its patterns eventually. My graduation day dawned bright and clear, one of those perfect New England June mornings that feels like a gift. I'd graduated third in my class, earned the art department's highest honor, and was set to give a short speech as part of the ceremony. For once, I thought, the spotlight might be on me. Mom had invited everyone, aunts, uncles, family friends, making a bigger deal of it than I'd expected. "I'm so proud of you," she said that morning, helping me with my cap. For a moment, I felt like I mattered. Ryan had flown home from Princeton specifically for the ceremony. He was finishing his junior year, already interning at a prestigious consulting firm. He'd brought his girlfriend Amber, a senator's daughter with perfect teeth and a tennis scholarship. "The artist emerges from her studio," he teased at breakfast. There was an edge to his voice I didn't understand. At the ceremony, our extended family filled 2 rows. Uncle James had driven up from New York. Even Grandma Chapman, who rarely left her assisted living facility in Providence, had made the trip. I spotted Ryan whispering something to Amber, both of them glancing my way and smirking. The graduation proceeded normally: speeches, awards, the calling of names. When it was my turn to give my brief art award acceptance, I caught Mom's eye in the audience. She was smiling, actually focused on me for once. "Art gives us the courage to see ourselves honestly," I said into the microphone, my voice stronger than I'd expected, "to face truths we might otherwise avoid." After the ceremony, Mom had arranged a celebration at our house. The backyard was decorated with lights and flowers, more effort than she'd ever put into anything for me before. I felt hopeful, like maybe things were changing. As guests arrived, I noticed Ryan drinking heavily, becoming louder with each beer. He kept checking his phone, typing furiously. I overheard him say to his friend Tyler, "Just wait, it's going to be epic." Mom presented me with a cake shaped like an artist's palette. "To Riz and beyond," the icing read. For a moment, I felt genuinely happy. That's when Ryan clinked his glass. "I'd like to make a toast to my little sister," he announced. The yard fell silent. Ryan had that effect on people, the same magnetic presence Mom possessed. "Eliza has always been different," he began. My stomach tightened. "Always in her own little world, drawing, painting, lost in her imagination." Some guests nodded, smiling. It sounded affectionate enough. "What most of you don't know," Ryan continued, his smile sharpening, "is just how imaginative my sister can be." He pulled out his phone. "I found Eliza's art portfolio website yesterday, the one she didn't tell any of us about, the one where she's been posting her real art." My blood went cold. I knew exactly what he'd found. As part of my RISD application, I'd created a private online portfolio, including figure studies, nude drawings from my advanced placement art class. They were serious, academic work, but there was also a series of deeply personal paintings I'd done, processing Dad's death and my feelings about our family, raw, emotional pieces, never meant for public viewing. "Ryan," Mom warned, sensing something was wrong. He ignored her, tapping his phone. "I've taken the liberty of sharing the link with everyone here. Check your texts." Phones began buzzing throughout the yard. Gasps and uncomfortable murmurs followed. I particularly enjoy the one titled Golden Child, Ryan continued, his voice dripping with mock admiration. A rather unflattering portrait of me with dollar bills stuffed in my mouth. Very subtle, sis. Aunt Martha covered her mouth in shock. Uncle James looked away awkwardly. And mother's love, showing mom with her back turned while a little girl cries. Really moving stuff. Mom's face had gone white. She hadn't checked her phone yet. But my favorite, Ryan said, lowering his voice dramatically, has to be the nude self-portrait series. Very revealing of your talent. And everything else. The silence was absolute. My aunt rushed my 13-year-old cousin away. My grandmother's caregiver hurriedly wheeled her toward the house. "Ryan, that's enough," Mom finally said, but it was barely audible. I stood frozen, humiliation burning through me like acid. My artwork, my private, vulnerable expressions, exposed and mocked by my own brother at what should have been my moment of celebration. And that's when Tyler, Ryan's friend, made it worse. "Hey, look at this one," he shouted, holding up his phone. "Isn't this Mr. Brennan?" "Your art teacher?" The nude figure study of our 50-something art teacher, a standard academic exercise in any serious art program, was now being passed around on phones at my graduation party. Mr. Brennan himself was there, having been invited as a special guest. He quickly made his exit, mortified. Ryan locked eyes with me, and in that moment, I saw it. Satisfaction. He had planned this meticulously, waiting for the perfect moment when all attention would be on me, only to transform it into the most public humiliation possible. I looked to Mom, silently begging for her to step in, to defend me, to end this. She stood still, looking bewildered, her eyes darting between her two children and the disintegrating party around her. The backyard had become a tableau of shocked faces and uncomfortable whispers. My entire family, my teachers, neighbors I'd known my whole life, all of them had just seen my most intimate art and were watching this cruel spectacle unfold. "What's wrong, Eliza?" Ryan taunted, his voice carrying across the now silent yard. "I thought artists were supposed to want their work seen. Isn't that why you put it online?" That portfolio had been password protected, viewable only through a private link I'd shared with the RISD admissions committee. Ryan must have gone through my laptop while I was sleeping. I found my voice at last. "That was private. You had no right." "Private?" Ryan laughed. "You put nude drawings of your teacher on the internet. I think the school board might be interested in that." Mr. Brennan had been one of the few people who'd believed in me, who'd encouraged my talent. Now his reputation was at risk because of me. "It's figure drawing," I said, my voice shaking. "It's standard practice in serious art education, but you wouldn't know that." Ryan's smile faltered slightly. "Whatever helps you sleep at night, sis." I looked around at the disintegrating party. My graduation celebration turned nightmare. Aunt Martha was ushering people toward the gate, muttering apologies. Neighbors were making hasty exits. Mom stood rooted to the spot, her face unreadable. In that moment, something broke inside me. Not just broke, transformed. The shame burning through me crystallized into a cold, clear resolve. "You know what, Ryan?" I said, my voice suddenly steady. "You've always been so threatened by me." He snorted. "Please." "Threatened by what?" "By the fact that I don't need to tear others down to feel important. By the fact that I create while you only destroy." Ryan's face darkened. "Says the girl who painted me with money stuffed in my mouth." "That was private art, for processing, not for show," I said. "But since we're airing family secrets," I turned to face the remaining guests. Mom stepped forward, sensing danger. "Eliza," she warned, "did you all know about the $2 million? I asked loudly. The yard went silent again. "What are you talking about?" Ryan asked, genuinely confused. I looked directly at him now. "The life insurance policy Dad had, $2 million that Mom collected after he died. The money she told everyone we didn't have." Mom's face drained of color. Eliza, stop this right now. The money she used to buy your way into Princeton, I continued. The money that paid for your BMW, your consulting internships, your perfect life, while telling me we couldn't afford art school, while I worked after-school jobs and fought for scholarships. Ryan looked to Mom, his certainty faltering. What is she talking about? She's upset, Mom said quickly. She's making things up. I walked to my purse hanging on a nearby chair, pulled out a folded paper, a photocopy of the insurance document I'd found. I'd kept it for years, never quite knowing why. Now I knew. I handed it to Ryan. See for yourself. The payout date, the amount, everything. Ryan scanned the document, his expression shifting from confusion to shock. Mom? He questioned, looking up at her. It's complicated, Mom said, her voice thin. Your father... Don't, I interrupted. Don't tell him what Dad wanted. Dad loved us equally. You made that choice. The remaining guests stood in uncomfortable witness to our family's implosion. Amber, Ryan's girlfriend, had backed away, pretending to be fascinated by a potted plant. All these years, I said, turning back to Ryan, you've treated me like I was nothing, less than nothing. You've undermined me, belittled me, and now this, humiliating me on what should have been my day. Ryan's face had lost its smug certainty. For the first time in my life, I saw something like shame cross his features. But here's the difference between us, I continued. I never needed to destroy you to know my own worth. I turned to Mom then. And I never needed your approval either. I just wanted your love. Mom stepped forward, reaching for me. Eliza, please. I stepped back. I'm done with both of you. I moved through the yard toward the gate, past the few remaining shell-shocked relatives, past the half-eaten artist's palette cake, past 18 years of being the lesser child. Where are you going? Mom called after me. I turned back one last time. To build a life where I'm not someone's afterthought. As I walked away, I heard Ryan's voice, suddenly small. Mom, is this true about the money? I didn't stay to hear her answer. I didn't look back again. Some bridges aren't meant to be repaired once they've burned. I stayed with Kayla that night, and the next morning I was on a bus to Rhode Island with 2 suitcases and my portfolio. I never returned to that house. Mom called incessantly for weeks. I changed my number, she emailed, I blocked her, she sent letters to my dorm, I returned them unopened. Eventually, she stopped trying. Ryan never reached out at all. Rizd became my salvation. For the first time, I was surrounded by people who saw and valued what I could create. Professor Jansen, my first-year advisor, recognized something in my work, a raw intensity born from pain. Your technique is impressive, she told me, but your honesty is exceptional. I threw myself into my studies, working through holidays when other students went home. I took extra classes, entered competitions, and secured a coveted internship at a Providence gallery. My graduation exhibition caught the attention of a New York curator, which led to inclusion in a group show in Chelsea. Meanwhile, I rebuilt myself. I found an excellent therapist through the Student Health Center who helped me understand the dynamics I'd grown up with, the golden child syndrome, the scapegoating, the subtle emotional abuse. I made real friends who accepted me without conditions or comparisons. I even had a serious relationship with Theo, a sculpture student who showed me what healthy love could look like, though we eventually parted ways when he got a fellowship in Berlin. 4 years after graduation, I was making a modest living as an artist in Brooklyn and teaching part-time at a community arts program. My work had begun to attract critical attention and steady sales. I no longer painted angry family portraits. I'd moved on to large-scale abstract works about resilience and transformation. That's when Uncle James found me. He'd respected my distance, but tracked my career through exhibition announcements. Your mother's sick, he said simply when I agreed to meet him for coffee. Pancreatic cancer, advanced. 6 months, maybe less. She'd like to see you, he added, but she understands if you refuse. I sat with that news for weeks. My therapist helped me work through the tangle of emotions. Anger, hurt, grief, and a complicated love that had never fully died. Seeing her doesn't mean forgiving her, Dr. Winters reminded me. It's your choice. I finally called the number Uncle James had left. A caregiver answered. Mom was too weak to come to the phone, but would I come home? I agreed to visit once. The woman I found in that bedroom barely resembled my mother. Thin, jaundiced, her once commanding presence diminished to a fragile whisper. Yet her eyes, those piercing Chapman eyes, were unchanged. "You're successful," she said, gesturing to the art magazine on her nightstand with my interview featured. "I followed everything." I nodded, unsure what to say. "I was wrong," she continued, each word clearly costing her effort. "About everything. The money, the favoritism, how I treated you." I hadn't expected this. In my imagination, she'd remained defiant, justifying her choices until the end. "Ryan?" I asked, suddenly curious. A shadow crossed her face. "After your graduation, things changed. The money became a wedge between us. He accused me of manipulation. We barely speak now." I felt no satisfaction at this news, only sadness for all the wasted years. "He's in Chicago, married to Amber, working for her father's firm," Mom continued. "He has everything he thought he wanted, and none of what he needs." She reached for a folder on her bedside table. "I've made arrangements. My will." I stopped her. "I don't want your money, Mom." "Not for the money," she said. "For what it represents. My recognition of what I did wrong. Too late, but still." We talked for hours that day. Real talking, perhaps for the first time. She told me about her own difficult childhood, her fears after Dad died, her desperate need to ensure Ryan succeeded as the man of the family. None of it excused what she'd done, but it helped me understand. I visited 3 more times before the end. We didn't achieve perfect reconciliation. Life isn't that neat. But we reached a fragile peace. On my last visit, she asked to see photos of my work. As I showed her images on my tablet, I caught a glimpse of genuine pride in her eyes. "You got your talent from your father," she whispered. I should have honored that. She died 2 weeks later. I attended the funeral alone, standing at the back of the church. Ryan didn't notice me until the service had ended. Our eyes met across the room, 8 years of silence between us. After the service, the executor asked the immediate family to stay for the reading of the will. I almost left, but something kept me there. Not hope for inheritance, but closure, perhaps. That's when the bombshell dropped. Mom had left Ryan a modest sum, enough to be comfortable but not extravagant. The bulk of her estate, including the family home and her now substantial real estate business, had been left to me. The executor handed me a letter with the bequest. In Mom's handwriting, it read, "To balance the scales, not just financially, but symbolically. I failed you as a mother. I cannot undo that, but I can acknowledge it. Your strength in walking away taught me more than all Ryan's achievements. You were always the stronger one. I'm sorry I couldn't see it sooner." As the funeral crowd dispersed, Ryan approached me, his face unreadable. "You could have told me," he said, "about the money, back then." "Would you have believed me over her?" I asked. He considered this, then shook his head slightly. "I wasn't innocent in all this," I admitted. "Those paintings were angry, unfair, maybe." "No," he said quietly. "They were honest." We stood awkwardly, 2 adults who'd once been siblings, now strangers with too much history between them. "I'm sorry," he finally said, "for the graduation, for everything." It wasn't enough. It couldn't be after 8 years. But it was a start. "Your work," he added hesitantly, "I've seen it. In magazines. It's extraordinary." Coming from Ryan, who had never valued art, this clumsy compliment felt monumental. "Thanks," I said. Then, after a pause, "How's Amber?" "We're divorcing. he said with a humorless laugh. Turns out, we're both better at ambition than happiness. As we stood there in the fading afternoon light, I realized the most unexpected twist of all. The brother who had once seemed invincible now appeared lost, while I, the afterthought child, had found my way. I didn't move back to Massachusetts. I didn't take over Mom's business. I sold it and established an arts foundation for underprivileged youth with most of the proceeds. I kept the house, though, renovating the attic into a summer studio where I now create my largest works. Ryan and I exchange birthday cards now, occasionally emails. Last Christmas, he visited the foundation, awkwardly helping teenagers with their still life drawings. Small steps on a long road. The money didn't heal me. Walking away had already done that. But Mom's final gesture acknowledged a truth I had always known, that my worth had never depended on her recognition of it. It's been 3 years since Mom's funeral. My latest exhibition just opened at the Whitney, a series exploring family mythology and reconciliation. One piece features 2 siblings as children, their shadows stretching in opposite directions from the same light source. Ryan came to the opening. We had dinner afterward, a conversation full of careful pauses, but also genuine moments of connection. Sometimes the deepest wounds come from those who should love us most. And sometimes healing doesn't look like forgiveness or reunion. It looks like walking away, building something new from the broken pieces. My brother humiliated me on what should have been my proudest day, but in forcing me to leave, he unknowingly set me free. Free to discover my own strength, to create on my own terms, to define family not by blood, but by genuine support and respect. I don't know what the future holds for Ryan and me. Some bridges, once burned, can only be rebuilt as different crossings to different shores. But I do know this. I'm no longer defined by being someone's daughter or someone's sister. I'm defined by what I create, by the truth I speak through my art, by the students whose lives I touch through my foundation. If you're watching this and something in my story resonates with you, remember, sometimes the greatest act of self-love is leaving behind those who cannot see your worth. Your value isn't determined by those who diminish you, and sometimes the family that truly matters is the one you build for yourself. If this story helped you, please subscribe and share with someone who might need to hear it. We heal better when we heal together.